Okay, welcome to a special edition of Weather and Climate Chat. We're recording this on Thursday, December 15th at around 11:30 a.m. My name is Monsoon Mike Regensberger, and who do we got with me right now?
Dr. Michael Davis of the Department of Geography at Kutztown University.
Of course. We wanted you to officially introduce yourself there. We're recording a special edition right now of our generally weekly Weather and Climate Chat podcast. It's going to be a little shorter than usual and just focusing on one topic, but that one topic is an important one. We have potentially some wintry weather coming up this weekend, and this weekend is a big weekend for some activities going on. So, what do we have, Dr. Davis? We got a storm that's going to be affecting us.
Yeah, we have a low pressure system that's pretty much crossing the country right now, and that low is currently sitting around the upper Rockies, around Idaho, Wyoming, Montana, that area. And it's going to be progressing eastward and eventually be by our neck of the woods by Saturday. And you're going to have a lot in the way of wind, mixed bag of precipitation, especially on the north side of the low where you're going to have more in the way of snow, and on the south side where you're going to have more in the way of rain. There's a pretty sharp temperature gradient with there, pretty well-developed warm front and cold front associated with this low as well.
Yeah, no, when you have a low, now if this low was to go up the East Coast, we would have an all-out, snow event. But I'm looking at the models here, and this low is going to be over Indiana and then over the Great Lakes. So that's a pretty far western track, and western tracks tend to imply bringing in that warmer, milder air.
Correct, and if we have the low, as the models are suggesting, going across, say, the Great Lakes, we're going to be on the south side and east side of the low, so we're going to be more in the warm sector, so we would get more in the way of a rain event for the particular storm system. But
there's always that but.
As the low passes, we're going to be in the colder air that's been brought down by this trough in the jet stream. So we have cold air sitting in place, and when you start bringing in warmer air, when the warm front does pass, that warmer air is going to be going up and over the colder air due to it being less dense. So you could have a situation where you have a very thin layer of cold air sitting at the surface, especially in areas around here where we have more in the way of valleys and so forth, where the cold air might be pooling up. And that could lead to potentially some sleet or perhaps freezing rain, depending on the depth of that cold layer.
Yeah, see, that's going to be the tricky thing, because if we were in a pattern right now, as we're recording this, where it's in the 30s or 40s outside, and then we have a storm coming up and going to our west, I don't think we'd have too much to worry about. But when this storm gets going tomorrow night, Friday night, temperatures are going to be in the teens. So there is going to be a good 15, degrees that we're going to have to warm up to get totally out of the concern range.
And we're already feeling that colder air today, as a matter of fact, with the trough pretty much bringing down the Arctic air from the north. You think about being the cold air associated with the polar vortex, as a term that's sometimes being thrown around nowadays, but sometimes misused. But that colder air is going to be sitting in place for most of the day today and into Friday.
Okay, so let's move ahead. I mean, obviously we have some very cold air now, and even some snow squalls affecting our area today, and tomorrow, could be some tonight as well. Tomorrow looks mainly, leaning on the sunnier side. Still can't rule out a snow flurry or a snow shower. But then we look at Friday night with, it is going to start. We can pretty much guarantee that it is going to start as snow.
Yes,
yeah.
It looks we have a lot of confidence in that. It's going to be snow to start. In fact, we might see somewhere along the lines of 1 to 2 inches, perhaps, in general area of snowfall overnight.
Yeah, so it looks like we get going with the snow. Latest model runs have us starting it as somewhere around 11 o'clock, midnight, 1 a.m. At the latest. What do you think?
Around that time.
Okay,
yeah.
around that time. And then it snows overnight. Now, something that we watch in the world of meteorology, it might not mean much to other people, but we watch something called the 540 line, which is an imaginary line in the upper atmosphere that pretty much delineates where we start turning to 32 degrees, freezing, freezing rain, sleet, and then snow. And the latest run of the GFS at noon shows the 540 line pretty much right over the Kutztown area around 7 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. So at that point, we could still be looking at snow, but probably also at that point switching to some sort of frozen ice or freezing rain at that point, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And if the 540 line is in your general vicinity, like what the GFS model is suggesting at 7 a.m., then you're going to have that mixed precipitation. And if you look at something also known as the skew T, which is essentially what the weather balloons bring back with essentially upper air profiling, so they go from the surface all the way to the top of the troposphere and tell you things like temperature, moisture, relative humidity, wind speed, a whole bunch of information. Right. But it is starting to show a warmer pool developing, but that was at a much higher level at the 7 a.m.
Right.
So that would probably start as more of a sleet type event.
Okay.
I would say. But then later on, about 10 a.m. or so, that's when it starts to shift more toward freezing rain, when you get the very thin layer of cold air at the surface.
And then that warm air really starts to pile into the area, and it looks that by early...
With the warm front passage.
With the warm front passage, we should say. It looks that, looking at the GFS, has 1 o'clock Saturday afternoon, Kutztown pretty much in rain at that point, but still could be some ice to our north, not too far to our north. Something we do have to watch with this a particular situation like this is cold air damming, where you have some cold air that gets stuck in valleys.
Yes.
So if, for example, I live in one such area in Schuylkill County where I'm in a valley and sometimes cold air gets stuck there, and on the other side of the mountain it might be above freezing, but I'm stuck below freezing.
And in that situation, you can have, say, snow, sleet, freezing rain because of that colder pool that's been built up in the valley.
Okay. And then we get into we should be above freezing with a strong southwesterly wind later Saturday afternoon. But later Saturday afternoon almost looks like the precipitation might cut off for a little while.
Yeah, it looks like something known as a dry slot working in for late afternoon, early evening. We were seeing about 6, 7 o'clock or so. And typically in that situation, you have drier air moving in, so the precip would essentially minimize or diminish at that point.
Okay. And then it looks like rain kicks in again. This time it should be all rain because temperatures are going to go up rather significantly Saturday night or Saturday and Saturday night. Highs perhaps in the 40s on Saturday, maybe even approaching 50 in some areas to our south.
Yeah, that warm air is going to move in, and it's going to move in fast and with a vengeance, pretty much.
Right. And then Sunday, looks like we could have some good rain still Sunday morning. Then a cold front comes through behind there. Potentially could switch back to his brief period of some kind of wintry mix or wet snow at the tail end, but that should not be much of an issue on Sunday like we're thinking on Saturday.
Yeah, another feature to bears watching in Sunday is when that cold front swings through, because then if you had all that rain and you bring that cold front pretty fast, you can get a flash freeze event where water will pretty much freeze very quickly.
Very good point. So Sunday night could be a flash freeze sort of situation. Okay. So, I mean, so if we had to break this down, when, I know, as I said, there are some big events this weekend that are in the area. If we had to break this down, it looks like the least desirable time to be on the roads would be Friday night from midnight through mid-morning Saturday. Would you agree with that?
Yes, and it would start as a snow event.
Right.
After midnight on Friday.
Right.
And then transition to more of a wintry mix, sleet, freezing rain event for Saturday morning.
Okay. So least desirable times to be on the road midnight tomorrow night through, 9, 10 a.m., would you say, on Saturday? It's close.
I'd probably say about 9, 10.
Yeah, it's going to be very close. And then better.
Maybe we'll extend it to 11, but
again,
it's the morning.
It's
generally looks to be messy.
Yeah, so generally the morning does not look desirable in any way, shape, or form. Improving in the afternoon, however, though, as we soar up into the 40s.
Yes.
Okay.
When the warm front passes, and I think we saw passing roughly about 12-1 in the afternoon.
12-1 in the afternoon, okay. And then we should be safer, much safer in the afternoon. But so basically watch for some very potentially dangerous travel midnight through 9, 10, 11 a.m. Saturday morning.
That's what the models are suggesting at this point, yes.
Okay, and I don't really have any reason to disagree with them.
And you and I were talking off
Yeah.
air, and it seems like we are in agreement with the models.
Yeah, we're in agreement with the models. I don't really see any reason to disagree with them too much at this point. So
The one caveat I do have with this storm is that the upper level dynamics associated with it are fairly lacking.
Right.
You don't have a lot in the way of support from the jet stream.
Right.
There's not a lot in the way of vorticity advection, which is typically used for enhancing uplift
Right.
and creating more precipitation. So I don't know if the upper level is really going to be supporting of a major event, but the lower levels certainly are there.
Okay.
And that's what's causing all these issues, especially when we start looking at the depth of the cold layer at the surface.
yeah, overall precipitation values. You're right. It's not the juiciest of storms that I've ever seen.
Yes.
But it's coming at a time when we're coming off of a spell of some pretty cold air, so the ground is going to be very cold. We saw just a little while ago, it only literally took a couple minutes of a snow shower to dust up the ground because the ground is just so cold.
That's right.
So, all right. So there you have it, folks. It looks like Saturday, tomorrow night, Saturday, midnight, 1 a.m. to about, mid to late morning on Saturday. It might be a good time to snuggle in.
At least the weather is not proving quite favorable
Yeah.
for a Saturday morning at this point.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, and of course, you can follow any updates on this as we get closer to the event on both of our on both of our Facebook pages. Your page is.
Dr. Davis Weather Forecasts. That's with the WX. I rebranded myself.
I saw that. I saw that. Yes.
And I will also mention, too, that snowcasting and winter forecasting is anything but a perfect science right now, and a lot can change in 24 hours.
Yes, it could. It could very well easily change. I'm planning on being available to record something else to Friday if anything majorly changes. Are you around
Yes,
tomorrow?
I'll be around, too. So
Okay.
if need be, we can make an update.
Okay, and my page is Monsoon Mike's Weather Headquarters, also on Facebook as well, too. So just follow us over there, and we'll talk to you maybe tomorrow, or if not, online. Okay?
That sounds good.
All right, sounds good. Monsoon Mike and Dr. Davis signing out.